nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.
Excuse me. Hey, thank you, Tracy, for your time. I greatly, greatly appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you.
I enjoyed this show for so many different reasons. I'm very into anything that explores strong sisterhood, educated women, diverse. It's just beautiful. It was just a whole combination of things that I enjoy. When I was thinking about what the root of all their friendships for you as a creator, what do you think is the root of all these ladies and their friend group?
That is a really interesting question. I think at their core, they are honest and love each other and know that they can depend on each other. And the reason why that's like really important to me was that I kept seeing like a lot of friendship shows where the women were catty and like talking to each other behind each other's backs, or even when you watch like reality shows, like, and they'll be like, this is my girl, but fuck that bitch. And I'm like, okay. So I just was like, no, that's not what a friend actually is. Like a friend is someone that like doesn't talk about you behind your back. And if they do, they're like strong enough to tell you to your face what they said and stand by it and not be afraid to hurt your feelings. And that's who they all are. They're loving, healthy people who, when they go through conflicts and when they go through different experiences, they might fight, they might disagree, but they're always going to come back to each other. And it's that love and lack of competition between them, I think, that keeps them together.
Mm-hmm. Although all four of the ladies and Quinn and all the ladies are friends together, I especially like when they sort of break off into pairs depending on where they are, especially the two ladies that are roommates together, Quinn and Angie. And they're so funny. And I thought about how they balance each other when you're crafting them together in these separate groups. Are they paired in a yin yang kind of thing? Or what do you wish to convey when they're broken off into these friend groups? Because that adds another layer of depth that I really enjoy.
Oh, good. Yeah, for me, I saw Quinn and Angie, and I tried not to hit it over the head, but I thought that they had a weird codependent relationship. And like on one hand, you see Angie, and you might think like she's using Quinn, but and the truth is that Quinn needs Angie around just as much as Angie needs Quinn. And part of their journey and their arc is they both need to grow up a little bit. But in some ways, like Quinn does enable Angie's behavior. And in some ways, Angie is like a really strong crutch for Quinn because Quinn can be really silly too and a little naive. And Angie's like, you know, the one that like really kind of has the most common sense sometimes. And so I just like that aspect of their friendship. And they're the two they're the closest ones, but also the yin and yang, like you said, like they're opposites in a lot of ways too.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, in there are shows that focus relationships, big city, and navigating all that. But within this, there's another character, which is the city of Harlem, the energy of the city, the changes that Harlem is undergoing. Why was it important for you to add that layer of character development in the show? Because that in its own, it's a character.
Yeah, for sure. When I was living in Harlem in my 20s, it was a lot different than it is now. And so coming back to it now and just seeing, it was literally when the Whole Foods came that I was like, oh, okay. Like Harlem, this is not the same Harlem. It was the Whole Foods for me on 125. I was like, all right, I don't know what this new Harlem is, but I'm gonna have to get used to it. And then last year in the writer's room, there was a Compass real estate ad that had two white men sitting on a brownstone stoop and it said, welcome to Harlem. And I was exactly, and that's why we did the restaurant poster. But I was like, oh, so Harlem's like definitely embracing this gentrification and the changes that are happening. And so it just didn't feel authentic to do a show set in Harlem and not acknowledge to the characters that have lived in this world, you know, for a long time, that the Harlem that they're walking today is not the same Harlem that it was 5-10 years ago. So I wanted to just acknowledge the ways in which Harlem residents are fighting to hold on to the history of the city too.
Absolutely. They are giving me the hook. I loved it. I'm super into it. I love the relationships between the ladies, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Seriously, thank you.
Thank you, beautiful ladies, for your time. I'm so excited.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love the dynamic between the two of you. Best friend relationships are so critical, particularly for Black women. We need that support and upliftment of each other. Shoniqua, beginning with you, your character and Grace's character Quinn, I'm sorry. Yes, her character Quinn are just opposite ends of the spectrum. What do you think they bring out in each other that allow them to be so close?
I really feel like they complete each other in a weird way. I feel like the love and the hope and the romance and the just faith that Quinn has is exactly what Angie needs. She's been burnt by the industry, she's hurting, and I think a little bit has lost faith. And as much as she tries to act like I don't need love, there's a positivity and just an earnestness that she needs desperately from Quinn. I also think that Angie adds to Quinn because she just needs a little, sometimes I think she just needs a little protection. You know, it's one of those situations where you kind of take advantage of your friend, but no one else could, ever. And I think Angie also gives Quinn a backbone that I don't know she might have had if she didn't have a friend there to like tell her the real.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, everybody need a real one around them.
Yes.
You know, particularly because Quinn is of means. And, you know, Grace, I'll go over to you. She has means, and people think when you have money, it just solves everything. But that's never the case. What is it? How would you say that, what makes her so quirky and so different, being that she's had access to pretty much anything she ever wanted?
Yeah, I feel like although Quinn has been a little sheltered, I think that what she's really rooted herself in is a culture of Harlem, and I think that's partially why she has kind of grasped to this group of friends, because I think they all really create a space for her to be herself, for her to not have it presented and all together, for her to share what she's going through, her complexities, her flaws, all the ways in which she tries to set aside a space outside of her mom and her dad's shadow, apart from their affluence, trying to figure out what it is she wants to do. You know, she's tried to undergo so many different types of career opportunities because she's still kind of searching for herself and her identity. And I think that this is a big show about identity and trying to find that. And so when you're allowed to be yourself in a space like that, then all of your idiosyncrasies just start to come out. And so I just love that Quinn is the type of person that, you know, although she has access, I want to say she has proximity to money, because the money is not hers, but she has proximity and access to money, that there's still a part of her that is very down to earth. And I actually would not describe her as bougie. I wouldn't describe her as bourgeoisie, because I feel like that is also a mentality, not just something that comes out of your pocket. And so I love how down to earth she is. I love that she's not defined by her money. She's aware of her privilege. And I love that she's able to be her quirky, kind of zany self as she explores love and as she takes risks.
It's freeing. It's freeing. And I like how Shoniqua's character allows that for her, because sometimes we have to dwarf that because we just don't feel comfortable around them. And they have taken comfort to a whole new level by sharing space with each other. Lastly, Shoniqua, what I really enjoy about the show, that although it's heavily rooted in these relationships and the way that you all and the other characters interact with each other, the city in itself is its own character and its own presence. When you look at now the spectrum of shooting the show, what are you most proud of outside of the interpersonal relationships? Because we're going to touch on gentrification and other topics that are in the show.
I'm most proud of it, honestly, is visually. I think it's just so empowering and just enriching to my spirit to see these Black women. And we said it before, but I just get so honored and overwhelmed by the representation. And I really think it's something so powerful in imagery, because you can really program a world, a society by the images you put out.
That's right.
And so for so long, there's been images of when you do see Black women, it's it's broken, or it's in support of someone else, or, it's just,
it's only one shade.
It's only one shade.
One body type.
Exactly. And so in this show, to have a representation of everything, financial status, physically, sizes, shapes and colors, hairstyles, I'm just so, and I honestly had nothing to do with it except being myself, but I'm just so proud of it because I just think it's so needed. And me, myself, is something that I've been yearning for as a viewer.
Us too on the outside. Well, I thank you, ladies. This is a terrific show. You all look great. It's really, really fun to watch your exchanges, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Take care. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate your time very much. And you both look very beautiful. Thank you again.
Thank you. So do you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to see this show and to see these archetypes of women who are just so diverse, all beautiful, all different, all bringing something to the table. And your two characters in particular were interesting to me, beginning with you, Jerrie. The two of your characters are both intelligent, highly evolved women who are very successful in their own lanes, but they're still struggling in the love department, or depending on how you look at it. How do highly, your character is highly evolved, how does that say help or hinder her ability to even navigate love and her friendships and all those things?
I think Ty is navigating a space that a person who looks like her or identifies as her like she does has yet to occupy. And so with that comes a lot of sacrifices. And a big sacrifice for her is that vulnerability or that open heart space. But as we see in a flashback scene, there was a moment where she did try and was so heartbroken that she was like, that it turned her into a person who was like, you know what? I know how to get what I need. I know how to make it easy, and I can still focus on my career without expending all this energy on a relationship. And then her friends tell her, this is, I think for a long time she probably didn't notice it until the girls brought it up to her. But I think sometimes I think we're transitioning a new place energetically, mentally, physically, spiritually in the universe as a whole, where people are focusing more on their purpose and their desires rather than like finding the most ideal person that you're going to be with forever and ever. That concept is like kind of dwindling out. Like maybe it'll come back and sure, people are still looking for those things, but there's a purpose that Ty has, and I think for her to do that in this moment, it may change, right? She feels like relationships may have to take the back seat.
Meagan, with Camille, what I enjoy particularly of this friend group is when you see other depictions, it's always everyone's successful, or everyone is broke, or everyone is gay, or everyone is straight. And this is more reflective of what real friend groups look like. Yes. For Camille, what do you think roots her to this group of women? Would you say is a tether that really binds them all together outside of being Black women?
Right. I think it is, you can see that there is genuine love there, and you can see that
they are there to pick each other up, to pour into each other, to tell each other hard truths, rather they be truths that you need to know that you are worthy and you deserve, or truths that, girl, you are settling for less and this is not okay. Whatever it may be, I think that they have the best kind of like what you would hope for in your tribe. And by saying the best, I don't mean that it's perfect. I don't mean that they don't argue or get mad at each other, because that's a part of that kind of perfectly imperfect and beautiful thing. But I think that the dynamics are like really accepting each other for who everybody is as individuals, loving each other unconditionally, and just like the way they interact. While it's not perfect, it really is about, I want to see you win. I want to see you happy. I believe in you. You know, all those things. And the really wonderful thing about it is I think it shows on screen because it's like that in real life. You know, like me and Jerrie had never met each other before, but, you know, at this juncture, we are like sisters, straight up. And that was like from episode 1. You know, that was after the first couple rehearsals.
Yes.
We were like, oh, my spirit sees your spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a forever thing. Got it, you know? And it's amazing to be able to take up space in a work environment with these women, because, you know, these are days of your life that you never get back, working or not. And so you want the quality of your day and the quality of your life to be rich and special and spent with great people and doing things that you love to do. And that is what we have on our set. And then it translates to when we leave work, we go and do the same thing out in the world. And so, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I love that. It just made me feel very warm just to see these women all together and just all beautiful and all bringing their thing to the friend group in their own special ways. Thank you so much, ladies, for your time. Looking forward to everybody else seeing it. Thank you again.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Tyler, I like your pink.
Oh, thank you. This is you know, we're out in Harlem, so this is my Killer Cam look right here.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay. I like it. Thank you so much for your time. And it's great to see you in another role where we haven't quite figured out where on the spectrum. In other parts, you're a very beloved character, but here we're going to meet Ian for the first time and learn a little bit about him.
Mhm.
What do you think whenever we're introduced to a character's ex? It's usually a sort of a menacing sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is Ian in that? Where would you say he lies in the scale of bad guy, good guy? Where is he within that scale?
Well, I mean, I think it depends where you know, what scope you're looking at him through. So I feel like each audience member is probably going to answer that for themselves. But for me, you know, he's a man that's in process trying to figure out who he is and what he wants in life. You know, and over the scope of these 10 episodes, you know, you kind of get a chance to see that he's not a villain. He's this passionate person. He's a very gifted, studied, like artistic chef who's on the brink of a whole new way of life. You know, emotionally, financially, the whole nine. And because he's so passionate, it's kind of left him in conflict between, you know, what he's pursuing in terms of his artistry and then also his love life. You know, so it's like, you know, seeing him in this process, it just depends what scope you look at him at to figure out if he's the hero or the villain. But I mean, I feel like by the end of episode 10, you know, he's have you watched all of them?
I have.
I was gonna say, I feel like by episode 10, he's gonna be leaning towards one way over the other, though, for sure.
Exactly. It's going to be a fun ride for everybody. With the show, there's so many wonderful archetypes of Black people, professional people, entrepreneurs, educators, just a full spectrum. Is that what Harlem does best? What do you think the show does best?
I think, I think you're touching on it. I think what Harlem does best is showcase the full experience of who we are as Black people. It's not this monochromatic thing where it's just like one color or one experience or just like, you know, one thing. It's like, you know, yeah, we all know that, you know, when it's time to do what to do, we're going to be strong and we're going to, you know what I'm saying? We got that. But there's also times where we don't know what's next, and we may be a little bit more vulnerable, or, you know, you may have your love life figured out, but sometimes we may not. And it's like, you know, we're fully human as well. And I feel like a lot of times in the media, we're not painted that way. We're painted one way. So I feel like this is what Harlem does a great job in showcasing.
Mm-hmm. When people think of big city dating is a big part of this show, or navigating relationships rather, are a big part of this show. And we've seen shows like this before. With this, though, there are other aspects that are unknown characters, like gentrification being touched upon, the workplace, breaking barriers.
Yeah.
When you look at the season as a whole, what are you most proud of?
That's a great question. I think from my perspective, and especially getting into Ian's perspective, like I think what I'm most proud of is like the juxtaposition of everything, like the contrast. It's like, yeah, all right, let's take Ian for example. Yeah, on one side, his people ain't trying to see him gentrify this spot with a fine French cuisine, like whatever you're trying to bring here. You're not trying to hear it. But for him, he comes from the same place that they come from. He has a great sense of pride in Harlem as well. So much to the point where he feels like he could elevate it. It's not gentrifying, he's trying to elevate us and bring us a new experience. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to see that, like that's a great contrast right there. To see that conflict play out is like a beautiful thing. And I feel like, that's Ian's perspective, but you see that touched on all these characters throughout the story, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Ian is a chef, but can Tyler cook? What did Tyler cook for Thanksgiving, and what's going on for the holiday season?
I had something cooked for me for Thanksgiving. I could throw down a little bit. I got some ones and twos I can prepare. I got some go-to dishes, but I'm definitely not like a world-renowned chef like Ian is. Nah, hell no.
Well, that's awesome. This is a wonderful show. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you for your time, and I can't wait to see the discussions that break out about all of your characters. Thank you.
Me too. I'm glad you got something from it, and I appreciate you taking time to talk to me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.